Just in case you don't know, the Relikiss Podcast is a shitty show. No, it is though. It's just Buttkiss and I talking for however long we feel like. So there, now you know what to expect. You can watch it or not, and by watch I mean listen. Hello and welcome to the podcast that isn't a podcast, the Relikiss Podcast, where I sit down with Private Buttkiss and we talk about weird things. Basically whatever I want to talk about. Today we're talking about the Donner Party and cannibalism. Alright, I already did intros, so we can just go.
Okay.
Alright.
Hey, how's it going?
Shut up.
Welcome to the Relikiss Podcast.
So, alright. So, if you're out of food and have exhausted every other option, in the case of the Donner Party, when they're in the Sierra Nevada, they ate leather book covers and they boiled hides of animals and ate that. And if you've seen a boiled hide, it's basically just this gooey, disgusting thing.
Okay, I can't imagine that would taste good, but it sounds a lot better than cannibalism.
Well, it would taste worse than cannibalism, but...
No, I mean, it sounds better morally than cannibalism.
But if you eat a dead person, once you've done all that, like you have no food, you've done all of that, you've nothing else that you can do. It's a dead person. They already died by a natural cause. Is that okay?
Yeah, fuck it, circle of life.
Alright. To me, I mean, that's kind of like, you have to do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to do everything in your power to avoid it, but if you can't avoid it, that's just how it is.
I'm kind of one of those people who believes if there is a way to survive, you need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't just roll over and die, no matter what the case is.
Justifying murdering someone so you can eat them is a little bit more difficult, but eating a dead guy, that's...
We can't reference the same case that we've already referenced before.
Did we reference the one on the boat?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That's the one we've referenced in the last time we talked about cannibalism.
Oh boy, what's this, 10 episodes? Most of them been about cannibalism?
No, this is the second one about cannibalism.
Oh.
Or maybe the third.
We talk about cannibalism in our free time a lot. I forgot.
Yeah, well, cannibalism. Alright, so, not as extreme. Let's say they didn't eat the leather book covers and boiled those hides. They just ate all of the real food. Is it still okay to eat the dead person?
I mean, did it occur to them to eat the boiled leather hides?
I'm sure that they said they didn't think of it, because would you eat a leather hide or boil the stuff?
I can honestly say that might not even occur to me.
Yeah, I don't think it would occur to them. Like, that's not something that's usually thought of as food.
Yeah. That said, if it did occur to them and they decided to eat the dead guy first, that's still not entirely morally good.
I'd still say that's okay, because does boiling a hide give you anything?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'd look that up, but I can't appear to open any of my web browsers.
I suppose it would, because that's just... You're eating the skin of an animal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and leather... I don't know about leather. I know a lot of people, whenever they're very, very hungry, have eaten leather wallets. But I don't know what that would actually give you, other than make you think that you're not as hungry for a little bit.
Potentially. I mean, it's gotta be a little bit like jerky. I mean, less nutritious, but...
I don't know if there's any nutrition to it.
They're both dried meat.
Yeah, but it's like processed leather, though. Like for wallets and stuff.
Yeah.
The leather book hide would have something, because that's, not processed leather.
Yeah, processed leather, that might actually kill you faster.
Maybe. A lot of processed stuff is actually extremely bad for humans. So... Also, lead paint. Have that for an evening meal.
I've done that before. But doctors think that might be related to most of my issues.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so here's another one. Let's say you're stranded on an island. Your friend cracked his skull. He died in the water. and you still dragged him out because you were like, oh, he's all right. You didn't see it in time, and then you realize, oh, he cracked his skull in the fall. He's dead. Um, but in a place like that, you can fish or you can hunt. You've been fishing for a couple of days. You're really hungry. You haven't been able to retrieve anything. You have no luck fishing. You haven't been able to find any animal that you can easily kill. So you haven't gotten any food in those days. Is it okay to, at that point, you're almost you're starving to death. You're pretty close. It's been a couple of days of just trying this and failing. Is it okay to then eat your friend?
I think so.
I would again agree. I would say yes. You've made every effort to not do it.
Yeah. I mean, and then after he's gone, you're gonna continue making every effort to not starve.
Yeah.
Probably fail because it sounds like you're not too good at the outdoorsy stuff.
Oh well, it's pretty hard to fish when you don't have a real fishing rod.
That's true. I actually once caught a fish with my bare hands. It was half dead, I'm pretty sure, because it was bleeding out of its gills. But I'm still impressed with myself.
There's actually a survival way in a small stream to catch a fish that with just your hands. You sit down in the water or something, and then they, if you stay really still, they'll swim into your legs essentially, and you can just grab it.
Yeah.
I've seen that done on Naked and Afraid. That's how I know it exists.
I've seen other fish do stuff like that. Stay real still. It's just.
I mean, that's what people do whenever they have a spear thing too. They just stand real still in the water and then they thrust it in.
Yeah.
So I assume you could catch with your hands doing that too.
Yeah.
But still, really hard to catch a fish without any fishing rod. And really hard to hunt things without a proper weapon.
That's true.
You have to pretty much make a spear out of a stick, and you don't have a knife to do it. It's real tough.
Yeah, and at that point, even if you do manage it, odds are you're not gonna get a killing blow. You'd have to track it for a while and hope you actually did enough damage to kill it.
What you'd be really hunting in that scenario would bugs, like big beetles, and snakes.
I'd probably still go for a bigger animal because I'm greedy. I'd fail, but I'd try for it.
I mean, that's where it's weird. It's actually pretty easy to eat a bug. You can find them virtually everywhere, but a lot of them aren't really that great for you. You actually need those bigger bugs with beetles and stuff.
Yeah, meaty bugs.
Yeah. So.
And then of course there's snakes, which don't have a lot of meat on them, and they taste terrible, but not better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And they're better than the big beetles for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting. The big beetles are disgusting too. Everything's disgusting. That's the underlying thing.
Just make sure you cut off its head, and don't put your hand in its mouth. They can still bite even if they're dead.
Yeah, and if you can pressure the poison gland, the venom glands, and cause it to eject that way too.
Oh, and then you could use the snake venom to bring down a bigger animal. Or at least I try and fail.
I don't think that's how it works. I think the venom's only good for a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Unless it's preserved, but yeah.
Then you basically chomp up that snake, you eat it real good, and you're like, oh, delicious. Oh.
Although that said, if you leave that venom in the open for a couple of days, you have something resembling alcohol.
I actually wonder if a a good, really big beetle would be better than a snake. I would assume a big beetle would be better than a snake.
Better than a smaller snake, yeah.
Now if you got a boa, but that's not what you'd be hunting.
Yeah, if there was a boa on that island, you might not be on an island so much as a. I mean, I don't know. Are boas on islands? I don't think.
I don't know. I don't know what a boa's habitat even is.
Again, I look it up, but I think I have to restart because my computer can't find any of my browsers. So, yeah.
I would look it up, but I would be sitting here quiet while I try to read.
Yeah, and then you'd have to cut it out, which we have done a few times, but no one likes it.
Well, I don't like it because I'm the one who has to deal with it.
Exactly, no one likes it.
Alright, same scenario. You can fish, but you know, there's a lot of work that goes into it. You have to really try hard to do it. The dead person's right there, and you're starving. Like,
No, that's the line. The line is trying.
see, I don't know. I mean, if you know, like, it is very hard. I mean, if you were starting out really hungry, like 3 days in already,
Hmm.
because the ship just didn't have anything or something, I would give you the leeway and say yes, but that would also depend on what you did prior to try and find food.
Yeah, like, okay, I guess I see where you're coming from, but the picture I had in my mind was either not very hungry yet, or just completely lazy and not trying to get any type of food and just thinking, I could try to fish. That seems a bit hard.
Yeah, I mean, if you were, let's say you were out cold for like 3 days,
Mm.
and you were just done, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and eat them, at that point, because you're kind of fucked anyway.
No, so can we just take a second here? A human being sitting rotting for 3 days would not taste good.
No, well, it depends on the environment. No, if they're for 3 days, they probably wouldn't be great, but you can chop them. The inside's always better, even
True.
3 days in.
Go right for the heart.
Organs are actually some of the best parts to eat on the human, if I recall.
I know. I just think that's funny.
um,
Alright, well, I'm committed to cannibalism now. May as well go for the heart. It's the best part. I know this from experience.
yeah, cannibalism's weird. But I mean, if it's a frozen environment, like the Sierra Nevada where the Donner Party was,
yeah.
you can eat dead bodies for weeks old. Because
Yeah,
they're frozen.
that makes sense. They'd be preserved. Gold does that.
Alright, another
Yes.
thing that happened in the Donner Party. There was a group called the Forlorn Hope. They were a party of people going ahead and leaving the campsite, going through all the snow to try and get supplies. They were eating their dead as they went, because they had no food. Same deal as what they were doing back at the camp, essentially. But they got to a point where no one had died in a while. And somebody got really antsy, and he looked down upon the Native American guides they have from the Miwok tribe. He thought they weren't real people, you see. I think you know where I'm going with this.
I think I know where you're going with this.
He shot them and killed them, and then dragged them back to eat. And the other members of the party ate, because it was just like, well, we're hungry, and he already did this, it's done. For them, I'd say, yes, it's morally acceptable for them to eat. For him, I'd say no, because he murdered them.
Yeah, murder, you can't justify murder in respect to cannibalism.
I mean, like,
I can't.
that's where I draw the line, especially, is whenever you go out of your way to murder someone with the intent of eating them.
That's another line. Okay, so we found murder and not trying. Those are the lines.
Well, gotta make an effort, people. What about eating dead children? Just because they're, like, not... You can have all the scenarios, whatever scenario, out of food, exhausted every option. Do you ever resort to eating a dead child?
Well, bearing in mind that this is all hypothetical, and in real life we would probably not have the best morale if this were to ever happen. Yes, I'd still eat a child.
I would never do it, no matter
No?
what.
No?
No, dude, I love kids.
So do I.
Sounds
They taste
out
great.
of context. It sounds like I'm a pedophile. I love watching them play. I love, it's wonderful.
Yeah, you wouldn't eat them. It's wasteful.
It's funny
Hey.
though, because I hate kids, like talking to them or being around them, but I love watching kids. So I certainly sound like a pedophile. But I could just never do it. Like, I'd be too miserable about it. Just
Yeah.
be like, my human instincts are to protect children. I can't do this. Oh
Well,
no.
good job protecting them. They're dead. They're dead, Jim.
Still, human instincts are like, you can't,
Yeah.
Eating someone after you have food. Like, they're already dead and they're already around. You have other food, but it's like, I don't want to waste the meat. Because the meat tastes good or is fresher. I think that's where I have to draw the line as well and say, no,
That falls into not trying, I'm pretty sure.
That's just disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, okay. I guess you can make the same argument as I would make for children. It's logical to eat something that's there, but no, no, it's
it's morally
not if
wrong.
you already have a source of food. You
Yeah.
can't.
And it was thought, from the account I've read at least, one of the accounts, there's a crap ton of accounts all over about the Donner Party, but from what I understand, this dude was the last guy left to be rescued. There were cows, like their cattle, some of their cattle had come with them and died, but this was well before they started cannibalizing, so, and like they didn't think to eat them at the time, and they got buried under snow and stuff. And I guess everyone just kind of forgot about them. So the snow kind of thawed out, and you could see the cattle, and they were still, preserved and all that.
Right.
And also there had been like 3 other relief parties that came up and brought some food up, so there had to be some of that still floating around. But this dude was still eating someone else's body. Tamsel Donner, he ate her body. And he said something weird like the meat tastes good or is fresher whenever the rescue party came and we're like, what the hell are you doing? So that was bizarre, and he's a douchebag anyway because he left an old man to die. So fuck him.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever heard the tale of the Wendigo?
No, but I feel like I'm going to.
Okay, so basically, it's a Native American legend where once someone consumes human flesh, they A, grow the head of a deer. That's the most bizarre part. And B, they can never stop hunting human flesh because it just tastes too good.
That's weird.
Yeah, there's actually a somewhat recent game that came out about that, but I won't say it. I will, however, say that I totally called it because I knew this legend.
Yeah. All I know, I mean, that's not a true statement, though. I mean, we've seen a lot of people who had to, like, the Donner Party, basically, the majority of them never, like, other than that one guy, never went back to eating human meat.
I botched this, I botched the legend. The legend is basically the spirit of the Wendigo, which comes about if you eat human flesh, and it tells you, hey, keep eating human flesh. I mean, obviously it's not true, because it counts, but I don't know, I just find it interesting.
The game he's talking about is Undertale.
Yeah, it totally happened.
I hope you're lying.
God, I love that Undertale.
I haven't played it yet.
Genocide run, it's good. Kill everyone, eat their flesh.
No, fuck you.
There's children, you'll do it, you'll love it.
That's about it as far as cannibalism goes, but continuing with the Donner Party and scenarios that they had going, my question is, when is it acceptable to abandon a child? And immediately I say never, because it's a human, basically if you bring a child into this world, you're obligated to protect it.
Yeah, it's an unwritten contract. Your survival is less important than theirs. That's
about it, because you've lived longer.
Yeah, that's hard to say, but it's true. You should die and tell them to eat you before you let them die.
I mean, economically speaking, you've already lived and they have a longer life to live. So,
yeah.
Even in economics, not even just in morals, in economics, it all makes sense. But morally, you had brought them into this world. It is your responsibility to care for them. So.
Yes.
Margaret Reed left behind her 2 youngest children, a daughter and a son. Her son was 3, I think, or something like that. She left them behind and went with the second rescue party. I don't know if it was because they were sick or if she thought they'd slow down the party.
Left behind her 2 youngest children?
Yes.
So she took the rest of her children?
She took the oldest ones with her. And left the youngers behind. And like I said, I don't know if they were sick or if it was just a matter of they'd slow down the party, which I'd have an issue with immediately, the slow down the party one, because the other rescuers would probably carry the kids.
Yeah.
Because, again, people naturally want to help children.
Unless they're assholes. Or career cannibalists.
Yeah, but they were young kids, I think 4 and 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, of course, people would be like, yeah, well, I'll carry your kid. But maybe she felt the journey was too dangerous for those two. In that scenario, okay, I'll accept that one. But the other two, no. I would say those are morally, you're failing your obligation.
And the two youngest children were definitely still alive?
Oh yeah, and she left them with another family, I think Breen? Not like that matters at all, but she left them with another family.
Okay. I can see how the last scenario would be somewhat reasonable, but...
Yeah, the other two though, no. Not at all.
Did she leave them with food? Enough to survive, or...
Well,
does it specify?
The relief party would have brought food. And obviously there's still cannibalism. As an option. But they were left with a safe family, so 3 I'm okay with. I'll say that's fine. If you felt the journey was too dangerous and you left them in a very safe area, that's fine.
Yep, safe area, minimal risk of cannibalism.
Well, I mean, there's going to be cannibalism, but
yeah, but minimal risk. I mean, they're kids.
Well, they're not going to die. They were. I think they were healthy at least.
We've specified that the last one to get eaten is a child.
And they had enough bodies up there. They didn't need to resort to kids.
Exactly.
Out of 87 people, I think. No, 81 people, 48 survived. So I mean, they had bodies.
Yeah.
And the other weird option, because I think the second relief, they might have left with the first relief party, because the second one, I believe, was led by her husband, James Reed. And he found her while they were going, and we were like, okay, cool, hey, how are you doing? I have to go on and check for my other 2 children and all that. So Reed basically said, you keep going, I'm going to go forward. But he went, after he got to his children, this is one of the reasons I love James Reed, because he was friends with George Donner, and he heard that George Donner was camped in Outer Creek, which was, I think, 8 miles away or 15 miles away from the main camp. And he didn't have any obligation to do it, but he went over there, and he checked on the Donners, and George Donner at this point was ridiculously sick. So he was like, Tamzil Donner, that's George's wife, he was like, you need to get your kids and come with me, and we need to go.
Huh.
But she didn't want to leave George Donner, and she said no. And not only did she say no to going herself, she said no for her daughters, because she wanted to keep the family together. That, to me, isn't acceptable. You're cannibalizing at this point, or at least it's to a cannibalism stage. It's debated whether Alder Creek actually had cannibalism happen. But he can take your daughters to safety, and he's making the offer to do it because he's friends with George Donner. You know he'll keep them safe. Your husband is dying. There's no reason to leave your kids there with him.
The only reason I can think of is stubbornness, really.
Yeah, like, so you want your kids to watch their father die? Like, is that really something you'd want them to do? And
I mean, I'd like it. Just watch me die, kids.
Yeah.
That's how I go.
Yeah. Remember
me as I lived, jumping off a building onto a flaming tiger.
But she's basically forcing them to watch. Like, at the time, basically it'd be she's forcing them to watch him die, and subjecting them to the horrible environment that they were in, rather than letting Reed take them to safety. To me, that's just not acceptable.
No, it's not.
Stubborn woman. But she let them go in the third relief party, the next group that came. She was like, alright, you guys can take these.
Apparently things got just a little bit too bad.
Yeah. But it's just weird. It's like, why wouldn't you send them with a family friend who came out the extra distance to check on you? Like, that's a kind of a cool thing.
I don't know. Maybe she didn't like him or didn't trust him as much as George Donner did.
Maybe, but he still made that extra effort to come. Like, to me, that would mean, like, even if I didn't like the guy, if he made that extra effort, I'd be like, alright, I can trust him with my kids. At least for the temporary.
Yeah, you'd at the very least be considering it.
Again, like, cause, again, he made the extra effort to come over. Like, he doesn't have any obligation to do so, and he did.
Yeah, he still has to get his own kids from over there, points.
Yeah, well, he already visited them and was like, alright, I'll be right back. Gotta go.
Never mind. Yeah, okay.
So
his priorities a little bit more straight than I.
Well, yeah, I mean, his kids would always come first. Any family's kids would come first, right?
Yeah.
That's how, that's how clanism works. Clanism is totally a word.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
I think you're looking for tribalism?
Sure, whatever. But yeah, that's the last moral scenario I have. But kind of on the same vein, right to censor. So video game companies, localization companies, all that, always there's that whole people complaining about censorship and things like that. How do you feel? Because here's my feeling on it. Firstly, it's the company's right, as far as I'm concerned, because they're talking with the other company. They're talking with whoever their Japanese partner is or whatever, and they're like, we want to censor this to make it more likable or whatever for the American audience, for the general American audience, and they have the permission to do so. So I believe like it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I can see the complaint a lot of people have that it's largely unnecessary. But no, I agree with you. It's perfectly acceptable. It's well within their rights, and if they feel it's something they should do, then more power to them.
Yeah, I mean it's for they're making a change for the general audience, not for the smaller, more vocal group. Something the argument I hate is that there's the argument always comes up. Well, why don't you make an option to have the censored stuff?
That is a lot of extra work.
One, it's extra work, but two, that defeats the purpose. Because then the people that you don't want to see that, like don't want to have, subject to that, are now able to subject themselves to that and likely will. Like you just defeated the purpose, man.
Now everyone gets to see that box on box tribalism or whatever.
Yeah, or in Fire Emblem.
We're probably not talking about a game of bad shapes here.
Or in Fire Emblem's case, the rubbing thing, which was the petting thing, which was just bizarre anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't like the vocalization of like how vocal the audience is about those kind of things, and it's like, come on, dude. It's it's within their Japanese company's rights to do so.
Yeah. And besides that, you have to remember, there's another very vocal group, the I'm offended by that group.
Yeah.
That happens to be a subgroup of the general audience they don't want to see.
Yeah.
That they don't want seeing whatever content.
Yeah. And then there's just children or whatever, and there's so many variables. It's like, we think that this is going to work better for the American audience. We're going to do this. And then there's that small vocal group who are like, ah. It's like, fuck off, guys. It's also very interesting how different the Japanese market is from the American market, and what is acceptable and what's like loved and hated. Just very interesting. I like it a lot.
Huh.
I'm interested in seeing the Chinese market because that's more of a newer market. I'm interested to see how they start. Their video game views start to be.
God, I hope they take a page out of the weirdest they could possibly find from Japan. I would just love a place to completely dedicated to the weird stuff of Japan, and I think China could do that.
Be extremely fetish.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be uncomfortable at all.
The future of VR.
There is so
Japanese
much,
fetishisms.
even in the mainstream games. There's a lot of bondage themes. It's very strange. Yeah, but they have a
saw
lot
ya.
of... What's up?
Speaking of weird fetish type games, I saw a game on the Steam market a while ago. During the last sale.
Hmm.
It was basically a game where you went around beating people up and taking their clothes off to determine whether they were I don't know, body snatcher.
That sounds like Akiba's Strip.
That could be it.
Dude, that game's awesome.
I was debating buying it because it looks fun.
Like, as weird as that one is, and that's totally kind of fetish territory, that's awesome. It's just such a cool premise.
Uh,
Because I saw that, I saw whatever game it was too. It might not be Akiba's Strip, but it's still Akiba, or Akiba, yeah, I don't know. I'm not Japanese, but
yeah, it's totally a Kiba strip. I just found
nice.
it.
It's just such a cool concept. There are some games out of Japan that are kind of uncomfortable themes, but then they're not uncomfortable because they're worked into the gameplay so well.
uh,
And it's just hilarious. I gotta take your clothes off, and
and it
yours.
doesn't look sexual in the combat taking it off or anything. You just get flipped around.
Yeah,
and
just
you're the one
yank it
holding their
right
clothes.
off.
Yeah,
Are you one? Are you one?
you're literally knocking their socks off.
It's fantastic.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's weird. Japan's a weird place.
Suddenly regretting not buying it. Probably would have if I didn't buy Murky Skin.
And it's okay, you can buy it on winter sale.
Yeah.
But Japan's a weird place. Very strange.
Uh,
But since China is a very censored, country, games are going to be censored there. So it'll be interesting to see what form, like what they're really interested in, and how the censorship kind of, affects it. Maybe they will be into super fetishy content just because that's what the Chinese government would be trying to stop them from seeing.
what if what if they remake Akiba's Strip where they censor the taking people's clothes off, and after you beat them up, you just ask them, "Hey, you a body snatcher?" And they're like, "Yeah" or "No."
See, that'd be a lot less fun.
What? But if it happens, I'm gonna be laughing about it.
Um, yeah, so maybe China will be bad. 'Cause, I mean, isn't that what the theory is with Japan, that they're like repressed sexually or something, and that's why they have all this fetish content?
I have no idea. Speaking from experience, I got nothing. I have no experience.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know things. I don't know anything about Japan other than that it's a weird, strange place that has a lot of great games, and they're better than the Americans at making games any day of the week.
They're also better at making games hard.
That's true.
Yeah. All those American releases tend to be more difficult in Japan.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
ask
that's
me
right.
for,
They're always that's another great thing about localization companies. They're like, this is too hard. We're gonna tone that down a bit. Because we want the general audience to be able to play this and not hate themselves. So, oh goodness, crap! I had another thing I was gonna go for, but I can't remember it. I actually have a whole bunch of other topics, but I don't want to throw them all into one podcast.
Yeah, we need to spread them out. Either that or make like another 2-hour podcast.
But we're only at, well, I'm gonna probably put together like a bunch of the old ones and do like a 2-hour thing. Or 3-hour.
Fancy.
Just so it's done, because we have so much old stuff. Some will eventually come out. But let's end this. We're at 35 minutes, and this maybe will take 10. So let's end this with, you have like billions of dollars. You're stupidly rich. You have like $50 billion just to do whatever you want with. That's
I'd
extra
still eat
cash.
people.
What's that?
Yeah, I'd still eat people. I'm sorry, was that not going to be the question?
No.
My bad.
What would you do? Just eat anyone anyway? Like, I have 50 billion. I'm just gonna buy your soul.
Yeah. I mean, heck, if you offer someone money and they say, yeah, I'll let you eat me, then hell, I don't see the problem with that.
I feel like you wouldn't actually do that at all.
Of course I would.
Um,
Hey, I'll give you $5 for your foot.
especially because I think you're you've told me that you're a religious person. I think just morally wrong. You would be like, nope, can't do it. It's funny to talk about, but can't actually do it.
I am religious. However, the flying spaghetti monster told me that it's alright.
Well, he doesn't want you to eat him. So he's like, yeah,
Exactly.
go ahead, eat those people. Just stay away from me.
No more spaghetti.
Mom's spaghetti.
God, I wonder if that's how that church is going to devolve into a cult.
So you have a bunch of money. What game or games you can think of anything special that you would want, any concept you'd want, or any game from the past or whatever. What game would you throw a couple billion at? And note, let me go check right now, but I think $1 billion is like way high for the development of a game.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare development cost. We'll see right now.
There's no way it's $1 billion. It's physically impossible.
Alright. Destiny is apparently rank 1 at $500 million.
Okay.
So, if you're throwing billions
somewhat
at things, you can get some good stuff.
Okay. So, a concept that I've recently been infatuated with is steampunk, like airships and open world. So, be in a big open world, get into an airship, just kind of fly around over the clouds in the cloud cities. Be like, hey, I'm a sky pirate, or like, hey, I'm a sky technician, or I don't know. I just want to fly in an airship.
You know what you might like? There's a game called Rogue Galaxy.
Rogue Galaxy.
It's a space game, but it has broadsides because it's naval style combat. You might like that because it's kind of like what you're talking about. It's not like crazy good or anything, but you still might enjoy it.
Huh.
It's free on the PS4. Oh wait, you don't have one.
Damn! I don't see it on Steam. And again, I can't look anything up on browsers because reasons.
Is it really not on Steam? That just seems like a game that'd be on Steam. Rogue Galaxy.
I think
Wow,
I
you're
spent some
right.
time. I think I spent some time looking for something similar to what I just mentioned somewhat recently, but I didn't find anything.
But yeah, that game might be in your wheelhouse. You might enjoy it.
Alright, how's about you?
Alright, I got 3. 2 of them
Okay.
are about the same, but
Okay, can I make a guess?
no. Yeah, go ahead.
Toho.
No, surprisingly not. So I like games where you're not a badass. You're just you're kind of like a normie, but you're a little bit better than normal.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So I suppose it'd be the combat of Shadow of Mordor. I've never played it, but I've seen some videos on it. Basically, it'd take place in either like the Warring States period of Japan or the Three Kingdoms period of China, and you'd be like one dude fighting like let's say 8 at a time. Nothing crazy, and you could only hit one dude at a time. So like you're doing combos on someone, then you're countering and doing, counter attacks on people. I would love that.
And then, of course, there's the very real possibility you end up getting killed because you're somewhat normal, and
Yeah.
swords hurt.
And it would basically be open world, like the whole, Warring States period, all China, whatever, and you could work with different factions, and like, eventually, like, you would enlist in whatever faction you'd want, or you could be a Ronin, which is basically like a rogue officer.
Yeah, but either way, it would probably end up being a bit like the Fallout New Vegas narrative, where no matter who you piss off, even if you're still somewhat normal, you've done a fucking lot, and everyone wants to talk to you there at the end.
Yeah, probably. And here's the cool thing about it, in my opinion, is there would be giant battles, right? From, obviously sides colliding.
Right.
And in Japan, the Warring States period, you could actually use an aquabuster, and you'd be in an aquabuster line firing on like cavalry and stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
And in Romance, you'd be just using, bows and crossbows, but it'd still be awesome. Just like a giant, big scale battle where it's just volleys of arrows and things. I would love that. And then, like, eventually there would just be a giant clusterfuck of a fight, right? And all the AI would be battling each other, and you'd be battling people. It would just be this big mess. It would be amazing.
That sounds real fun, actually. Yeah.
And then, like, this, because there are a bunch of like big officers in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms in the Warring States period. If you play like a Dynasty Warriors, I would love to see like Zhang Fei be there, and it's like, oh god, you can't fight him because you're just a weak normie, and he would be tearing through people.
Yeah, I mean, you could fight him if
But
you want an instant game over.
Yeah, and eventually there'd be a level up system, obviously, and skills and all that, and eventually you become basically up to the same standard as those guys, but it takes you a fuck ton of time. I would friggin' love that game. I would be all over it. And the other variation is more of a cheaper version, where it would be kind of a roguelike in the sense that the pathway you take would change, but basically you'd be escorting like a princess of a warring state's kingdom across the land, and you could either do it in the big grandstand kind of like, oh look, we got a princess, we're going, and you'd have a big retinue of soldiers, and you would just have to like do multiple battles constantly.
Would this be more Dynasty Warriors, or maybe a more RPG Final Fantasy Tactics type of combat?
It'd be the same type that I just described.
All right.
And it would be basically you're like fighting in streets and stuff. But it would have other elements, like if you decide to take her as like pretend she's a commoner and move that way, there'd be like assassins and betrayals and stuff. And like basically you'd be able to trust no one. It'd be fun. I'd like something like that.
And then of course, if you're just real open about it, if you tarry for too long or take a wrong turn somewhere, you might end up fighting a force that's a little bit bigger than yours.
Yeah, like they'd basically be sending armies to find you too, so you could easily get destroyed. And eventually, the end game is, obviously you get her there, but then the castle gets sieged because I want it to happen. Speaking of which,
not if you find some way to take out the main army beforehand, which would be...
I would actually like all that to be combined, so you could take different quests in that game that I just described, where it's like big battles and shit too, but there's also these quests that you can do. So it kind of combines Bladestorm with the Final Fantasy game, not the Final Fantasy, but with the Dynasty Warriors games, and it kind of combines the Shadow of Mordor fighting style. I think that would be just the greatest thing ever, and you could fight in castles, you could fight in forts, you could fight in all those things. Basically be like firing an aquabuster off a castle wall, and enemies putting up like the ladders and climbing up, and just it'd be so good. I would throw like 50 billion at that, and it would be the best game ever.
Yeah, you could never mind. I was about to throw out a few names you could get in there, but I'm not knowledgeable about video
also
games.
Best voice actors ever. Because I'd have 50 billion, of course I'm going to get
Of course, yeah. Actors. You could spend money on, Tara Strong for one, she's good.
Like, I would have the best voice actors, best visuals, everything, because it's 50 billion! That's...
Yeah. Dude, the current generation of consoles, whatever they are at the time, wouldn't even be able to run your frickin' game.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be insane. It'd be made for, like, the highest-end computer, because it would take a couple of years to make.
Which, given that you have $50 billion, you're the only one who has it.
Yeah. I would make that game in a heartbeat, and I'd be like, you know what? You don't have to pay me back any of the money from it. You can enjoy all the money from it, all the profit. I just want my name to be there. I want people to know I funded this fucker.
Before you get into your last game, can I mention another one I thought of?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. So when I was growing up, one of the Pokemon games I really liked was Pokemon Dungeon, which was think one-way heroics, only instead of darkness behind you, it's just crawling through a dungeon with Pokemon.
Do you play like is that I might have heard of it. Is it where you're like playing as like a Pikachu or something, and you can go like recruit other Pokemon to help you?
Yeah, and sometimes when you're in the dungeon and you make one of the Pokemon you're fighting faint. They're like, "Hey, you're pretty strong. I want to come with you." And then you're like, "Yeah, I want a whatever the hell you are, a keychain. Cool."
Dude,
But
Keychain's the coolest Pokemon in the newest gen.
it, it is.
That, Candelabra.
Uh,
Go
oh,
for it.
yeah, but anyway, I was thinking, the Pokemon might end up being like the canon for Pokemon is that at one point in the history of Pokemon, humans used Pokemon and themselves to fight a big, tall war, an actual war. So I'm thinking, the Pokemon might be pretty interesting if you could have a Final Fantasy Tactics-like game. You could have a whole bunch of people in your party, and those people would also have a whole bunch of Pokemon in their party. And during each battle, you could have each one of your members send out one of their Pokemon, and it would just you'd have a very large. You'd end up with a very large party, a whole bunch of possibilities. Of course, you'd have to your main character would have to have an Eevee because they're awesome and
Eevee's the best.
Yeah,
Eevee and its evolutions are my favorite Pokemon.
easily.
And then the other, like my close second, is Vulpix and Ninetales.
They're adorable.
Yeah, exactly. Ninetales is awesome. Ninetales might be my favorite, actually.
Another Pokemon game I enjoyed growing up was Pokemon Coliseum, and its sequel, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't. They're pretty obscure titles for the GameCube, unfortunately. But basically, their entire premise was a whole Pokemon game centered on double battles. But in both games, you started out with either two evolutions, an Umbreon and Espeon, or an Eevee that you could make evolve. And, oh man, any Pokemon game needs to let you start with an Eevee.
Yeah, I'm surprised, like, I think there is one now that you can choose an Eevee as your starter Pokemon, which is long overdue. Come on.
Oh, speaking of Eevee as your starter, that Pokemon Dungeon I mentioned, you could do that. You took a quiz at the start. If you figured out how to get an Eevee, you could get an Eevee.
That sounds awesome.
I could never figure it out.
Well, eventually. That's where internet comes into handy now.
Yeah. Too bad I don't have that game anymore.
What system was that game for?
Game Boy Advance, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you could probably buy it for a really exuberant cost.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's other Pokemon Dungeons. One was out for the DS at the same time, I'm pretty sure.
You know what I like about the DS? It has backwards, the 3DS in fact. Both those have backwards compatibility.
Yes.
What the fuck happened to backwards compatibility?
I have no idea. I missed that. Well, I don't miss it too much myself, being a PC overlord, but I backwards compatibility, it's just I don't know. I always figured, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I've got Wii, but I can still play all my GameCube games. Thanks, Nintendo.
Nintendo's really good about backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
But let's say like PS4 should have been able to play PS3 games on it. And if not, the whole PS3 library should have been digital. You could buy it for digital download, like for $20 each game or something. I would do it. I'd pick out games and buy them, even though I own a PS3, because I'd rather play them on the PS4. But Sony being Sony, they don't think of anything really good. Fucking idiots. They don't know what's up.
There's a possibility they did think of it. You gotta remember, they might not be that stupid. It might just be greedy.
Yeah, well, they could. Well, it'd be perfect for greed. Being like, we have a whole backlog of market. You got to pay $20 for each PS3 game. Pick ones you like and put our pockets on. Line our pockets.
Huh.
But it might just been too much work. I mean, I know there's like not. I think there's a lot of licensing things to get digital games. Otherwise, we'd see every PS2 title, on PS4 already in the PS4 Classic section.
That's true.
Or maybe it's just really hard to get digital copies of stuff that are like that old. I don't know.
Also true. I could see either being the case, I suppose.
But backwards compatibility, man, needs to come back and actually be a thing. so annoying. It's like I don't buy a game for a system just to have the next system deny me of playing it.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh. Funny story. At one point in Tucson, uh, in the family van, there was it was basically a tub full of surfing equipment, and that probably was worth approximately $4,000 all in all. So what does the first thief that break into? Well, they go for they go for the Game Boy stuff hidden right underneath the seat with that tub full of $4,000 worth of surfing equipment. Didn't even touch the tub.
An idiot.
Yeah, they did, however, deprive me of all that backwards compatibility, which is sad, but oh well.
Well, that's because your family sucks.
But no, they're the idiots. The thieves are the idiots.
Yeah, but it's a family van. Oh, you guys let that get pillaged? Nerds.
Well, I mean, look, we tracked them down. We actually didn't, but we broke their legs. We actually didn't and wouldn't have if we tracked them down. But look, they're the idiots.
Shit.
So sorry for getting you off topic there. Your last game?
Oh, last game would definitely be Blitzball. Best part of Final Fantasy X was Blitzball. I stopped caring about the game, not because it was bad, but because Blitzball was so fucking good. I want a game just of Blitzball. Give me Blitzball.
Oh, that reminds me of Super Smash Bros. Melee, that mini game in the adventure mode, Race to the Finish. I absolutely loved that thing as a kid.
Honestly, I can't remember it.
It was basically just you start there, you have to run through an obstacle course and get to the other side. I know it's not exactly an original idea, but something about doing it in Smash Brothers, it was so good.
Interesting.
Oh, probably because if you messed up, you got damaged, and the more you got damaged, and the more you messed up, the more you fly around, and that was pretty good.
Oh. Yeah, I like Smash Bros. It was a great, fun game.
Yeah.
My first experience with it was at a friend's house, and basically, I'd never played it, and my friend Zane had never played it. But his brother Justin and the friend, whoever he was, both played it. And they were like, oh, we're going to be on a team against you two. And they kicked our ass a couple of times. And then me and Zane started to get the hang of it. And we didn't ever win, but we made it hard for them.
Nice.
So I enjoyed that shit. And then I bought the game myself, and Zane and I played it like constantly. It was great.
Nice. Yeah, Smash Brothers. That's good. I think they're up to 4 in the series now.
Yeah, for Wii's now, right? With 3DS or something.
Yeah.
Or not 3DS, but Wii U.
Yeah, same thing.
I don't like the Wii U, like the concept of it. I haven't played it yet, but concept of it's terrible.
I think I knew more about it at some point, but I don't know much about it.
Like, the tablet would be okay for like tactics games, but just for all the other stuff like Mario and stuff, like why would I want that?
Oh no, I agree. I like controllers.
More importantly,
and keyboards.
Just make a fucking GameCube. That's better by a lot than the Wii.
Oh my gosh, the GameCube was the most powerful console of its generation.
Here's the thing I don't get. They have a big enough team that they could make a GameCubes and Wii's, but I guess they think it'd be too expensive.
And I guess the GameCube kind of didn't do too well after
it should have.
First year. Yeah, it should have.
Ugh.
There were some freaking great games on GameCube.
Yeah.
Including the last ever release of an F-Zero game, unfortunately. Miyamoto outright said there's never going to be another one, and he's been keeping to that, which makes me sad because F-Zero was so good. It's easily the best racing game of all time.
I never played it.
So good.
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was on there, where you carry a bucket, but it's so fun. Oh, I played that with my sister so much, and my friend Zane so much. Oh, so good. GameCube had a lot of great games.
Yes, it did.
It's just a shame that didn't do as well as it should have. And then, you know what else is a shame? Money. Like,
God,
It gets in the way of everything. Just give me the systems I want. Like, why can't Nintendo have enough to develop a GameCube again?
speaking of money, I see a game on Steam that's on a sale. You can grab Grand Pigeon's Duty for a whole 1% off.
Is it seriously just 1%?
It's seriously just 1%. Want to know how much that comes to?
What?
1 cent off. It's
They
seriously just $1 game.
they have to be doing that just for the funs of it.
I have to figure.
That's kind of great though. I still have Leaf Green.
Oh, I lost my copies.
I haven't played many of those the Pokemon games, but I liked them.
I played up to the 4th generation, and I always liked the Pokemon up to that point.
See, I don't know any of the generations or anything. I just know I played up to Leaf Green.
Leaf Green was still 1st generation. I think it came out after the 2nd generation, though.
Look, I'm poor, and I've always been poor.
Look, man, Pokemon's the most expensive of hobbies,
So,
unless you have friends.
so me being poor means that I never had a lot of games, but the games I did have were good, because it's like, I had like a month to stew on what I was going to get. I only got a game like every other month, and it was
Yeah.
never a full price title.
That's true. I don't think I've ever bought a full price title. I probably have, but I can't think of any full price titles I've ever bought for GameCube or handheld.
When I was when I actually had money, like after Christmas or stuff, I'd buy a full price game if I was like really excited for it. Like a Dynasty Warriors, buy it full price, hands down. Until 6 happened. And then 7 happened.
Wah, wah, wah.
They fucked up the game so bad.
I never played one.
Dynasty Warriors 2 is still my favorite. Why can't they just make another game in the vein of Dynasty Warriors 2, I say? Because they suck. Throwing away a great series. Oh well. What can you do?
Well.
What can you do? Well, I guess we're at 58 minutes. We killed a lot of time with this topic.
Wow, good on us.
Yeah, 'cause
Cannibalism and games.
Well, Cannibalism lasted up till 35 minutes. Then we just butchered it with
Huh.
gushing about video games, because that's what we do.
Okay, what do you think we spent the most time talking about in these podcasts? Video games, cannibalisms, or honey badgers?
Oh,
It
Honey
has to be
Badgers
one
was
of those.
hardly ever.
Yeah, I guess so, but it still has to be on the running, right?
Maybe. I think video games would easily be the top.
That's maybe. But cannibalism, we did that. The one time we did talk about honey badgers, I'm fairly certain it went on for a while.
I don't know. I'd have to do math, and that's never going to happen, but I'm pretty sure video games are easily the highest.
Yeah, probably video games, then cannibalism, then something else, and then honey badgers.
Probably.
Which, that's
Cannibalism
that's
is
not
probably a second. Not a close second, but it has to be the second, right?
bad. I hope so. We
talked about
can't
it
have
10
this
times.
much to talk about cannibalism without being cannibals ourselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
That
eat
much,
people all the time.
Yeah.
'Cause I suck dick. Boo!
Oh! Oh!
If you had a giant snake eat you, the best thing to happen would be that you suffocate before you get to the acid, because that would have to hurt so bad.
I have to imagine that at first you wouldn't feel it, so there's gotta be a possibility of you suffocating first, but
Well,
yeah, that would
with a snake,
absolutely
it takes a little bit
suck.
to get to the stomach, so.
Yeah.
But as soon as you hit that acid and it starts, happening, that would have to burn so bad. Oh, God. Then you'd see, like, your bone, and it'd be like, ah! My bone! How terrible.
That sounds like something that would happen in a real fucked up RPG.
Getting-
I'm gonna save this princess from that giant snake after I spend about 5 hours side questing.
Yeah, and then you get there and she's just like bones, there's nothing left of her.
Maybe if you didn't spend so much time sidetracking.
And the game just lets you know, here's her final moments. Ah!
Whoops, my bad.
I'm melting. For real. It's terrible. Alright, we're at an hour and 1 minute. We really got into stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. So let's stop it here. This is the end of the Relikiss Podcast. Thank you for those of you who made it the entire way, which would be approximately one of you.